Welcome to the Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health podcast. I'm Ayurveda, medical astrologist, astroherbalist, and green witch. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at 19, and I was told I would never have children. I healed my body through the power of herbs, alternative health practitioners, energy healing, and more. At 28, I had the baby they said I would never have, without any interventions. I refused to believe that my body was not able to heal itself. Along this journey, I stumbled across medical astrology, and it resonated with me so much. I started down the path to learning this unique system that had been used for thousands of years in the medical community. I now help other women heal their bodies using their cosmic blueprint, the unique blueprint that every person has embedded in their DNA from the stars. This system helps me see what's going on in your body on a cosmic level and exactly how to help you give your body what it needs to heal itself. We are all uniquely and amazingly designed, and when we learn to work with our design, love ourselves for how we are designed to function, and integrate the cosmos into our lives, I truly believe that we can see true and lasting health brought into our lives. If you are ready to change your life, heal your body, and learn to deeply love who you are, this podcast is for you. Come join me as I discuss medical astrology, astronutrition, astroherbalism, health, wellness, spirituality, transformation, and so much more. I'm so excited you are joining me. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health. I am here today with Jess. Jess is a multi-certified Vedic professional with her main profession-based certifications of Integral Vedic Counselor, Ayurvedic Health Counselor, Ayurveda Psychology Health Lifestyle Consultant, a yoga teacher, and an Integrative Health Coach. She can also be referred to as a self-work alchemist and a sacred space holder. Her expertise is steeped in over 10 years of personal and professional study in the Vedas, Qigong, consciousness, mindfulness, integrative health, and psychology. As a trauma-informed counselor, Jess specializes in mental health, specifically in sexual trauma and codependency, and providing sacred space for healing, recovery, vulnerability, and self-realization. I am so glad Jess is here today. We met through a mutual acquaintance. No, we met on Practice Better, my client portal, and hers too, in their community, and we've really hit it off. So I'm so glad you're here today, Jess.
I'm so happy to be here. This is going to be a wonderful conversation. I already feel like we're kindred spirits.
Yes, Jess and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago now, I think it might have been, from the time of this recording, and we probably could have talked for days, but unfortunately we both had other things to go to, so we had to cut that short at an hour and a half.
Yes, I think it was an hour and a half, hour and 45 maybe, but yeah, we could have just kept going.
And I don't think I probably would still be on that call today if we didn't have previous commitments, seriously. So Jess obviously is into the Ayurvedic side of alternative health, and y'all know I dabble in that a little bit. It's not 100% my thing, but it is part of medical astrology, so I'm glad to have Jess here to talk about it more in depth, because that's definitely more her wheelhouse than mine. So just give us a brief-ish rundown of what took you from where you were to where you are now in working with Ayurveda and trauma-informed and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so I started this journey with the focus on healing my codependency, and that stemmed from doing a very specific training. It's called Y12SR, so yoga for 12-step recovery. And I actually did that to understand the recovery mind and all those things around that and a part of that. And it was very much a yoga training. So it was how to teach from the 12-step recovery perspective, as well as knowing that the 12-step recovery system was basically based on some of the yogic texts, which was very inspiring to me. So that was a connection. Before that, yoga had been with me for God knows how long. And I decided to take that yoga journey seriously by becoming a teacher in 2000. And then that training, that 12-step recovery training occurred, I think, probably about a year and a half, 2 years after that official certification. And then I've done countless continuing education and training and all sorts of things in between and after. And then I didn't have higher education at the time. So I had my associates, or I finished my associates in 2017 because I was doing all this other yoga, wellness, healing stuff. And I found the Ayurveda program at the end of 2000. I had no plans of signing up for any sort of anything. And I was looking into counseling. I was looking into all sorts of things. I love to read articles and books. And at the time, I was still on social media. So I was very inspired about learning as much as I could and to better my practice and just, enhance my practice in the ways that I could. So I stumbled upon Maharishi International University. And that's my school that I now, I earned an Ayurvedic health degree from them. I have the bachelor's in Ayurveda from that school. And I started that program February 2020, and it was virtual, thank God, but I spent COVID earning a bachelor's degree. Yes, I'm very grateful for that timing because a lot of other events took place after that, which was deciding to get up and move my life to a different state and start a new career path and all these different things. I found that degree program, and then shortly after I graduated, I became a certified Vedic counselor under Dr. David Frawley. He has the the American Institute of Vedic Studies. That's his institute. So I'm certified under him. And what that means is that I am a mental health counselor in the Vedic tradition. It does not mean that I'm clinical. It does not mean that I have gone through a Western program. It does not mean I've done any sort of residency. I have no connection with that side or that realm, that field. It is solely Vedic, yogic, Ayurvedic. Ayurveda is the science of the Vedas. It's the science of health. So seeing yoga as a separate entity can help you better understand what Ayurveda is. Ayurveda is basically the science of yoga, whereas yoga is more the philosophy, the guidelines of life. Here's some tools and modalities to practice and better your health. And Ayurveda is basically the foundation for yoga to be successful. And then I focus solely on codependency and sexual trauma and mental health, established for myself as a niche. And I would definitely say it's been my life's work and continues to be. So yeah, that's how I came to be now. That's where I am now.
Yes, quite a journey. I think I could attest that my journey was probably the same, similar little like windy path, because it's never a straight line, right? We want it to be, but it's not. From where I came from to where I am now. But it's so funny how we all fall into our own passion. Like, you found yoga first, and then that led to, the 12-step recovery, and then it led to, and now you're doing the Vedic stuff, which you probably would never have even thought about prior to all of that, right?
Right.
And
I didn't know. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I think we have a tiny bit of a lag. Yeah, and it's just like such a thing that I find in all of us who work in this more spiritual, holistic realm, is that we all work in the things that worked really well for us and healed our bodies, and then we use those to go help others. And I just love that, because there's so many different things that I find out about I didn't even know existed until I started talking to people.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's how I felt about you too. And we had the connection of I have the Vedic astrology, Jyotish is what it's called, and Ayurvedic astrology, which is more of the medical use of Vedic astrology. And I was like, do you know anything? It's like, of course, you're a medical astrologer. You must have some knowledge of that. But that's a whole separate beast, I would say, as we came to conclude.
Yeah, yes. 100%. I actually So it's funny that you say that you went back like during the pandemic and were like getting a degree and it wasn't your plan, because I did very similar
Right.
thing. 2020 hit and I just wasn't working as much as I had been. Like at the time I was still working as a nurse, much more than I was in the past couple of years. And I just wasn't working as much because, like,
Hmm.
despite what everybody
Right.
believed, they just didn't need us. We were all, a lot of us had been like temporarily laid off or were called off. They were like doing a rotating call off. So like, today I got called off, but tomorrow like Jess would be called off, y'all, and then like the next day it would be, Bobby Sue or whoever, right? And then when it got back to you, you'd be called me. So usually like at least once every other week, I was just sitting around doing nothing at home, at least one shift, and I was bored. So I went back to school too. And I went for a dual degree at the same time because I was like, if I'm going to do this and I finally have time, let's just get it all out of the way at once. Like, I don't
Hmm.
want to have to go back. So I went and I already had a certification in herbalism, but I decided that I wanted to know more. So I re enrolled back in the school that I had attended before in the UK, but this time we could do it virtually, which is great. And I enrolled for the Advanced Master Herbalist, and like just the Master Herbalist. It was like the Master Herbalist with like a, lower studies of like that. So I was doing two like certification slash degrees. They don't call them degrees over there, but it's basically
Right,
what
right,
we
right.
would consider a degree. But a certification in both the Master Herbalist and the Advanced Master Herbalist. And the difference between those, for anybody wondering, is the Advanced goes over pediatric stuff as
Mm.
well, and herbs and preparations and dosages and all that. And it's not something that's commonly studied in a lot of herbal programs. People tend to lean only toward like the adult side. And so I wanted that side because, I have kids and my friends have kids and everybody I know has kids. My siblings have kids. And I was like, well, I would like to, get better at that side. So I took both. But I did that during the pandemic too. And in 2021, I graduated like in January with both of those certificates. So
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, I was like, let's just go. So we did. And we went through two of them in like a year. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I was thinking. But I find that I use it all the time.
Right.
So it's definitely was worth it. And I did in this whole thing, as I was, apparently, had too much time on my hands. I was like, let me learn about Vedic astrology because I'm sure it's not going to be that hard. I already know Western astrology. Oh no, hell no. I got like
Hmm.
halfway into this book and I was like, this is way no, no. My brain was just like, girl, you can barely remember the medical astrology stuff without fritzing out. You do not need to be studying something else.
Right. I
And
have old books, I have new books, I know two Vedic astrologers now that I've worked with, um, whether it's business or personal. And it's a completely separate science. It is a legitimate, like, you have to dedicate your life to understanding this stuff. So I know how to
yeah,
delegate.
yes. So knowing that, and I love Ayurveda because when I did those programs and got my degrees and my second and third degree in herbalism, the part of the advanced as well was traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda practices. There was a whole like multiple sections on each, right? But again, because it wasn't what the whole focus of the program was, it wasn't a lot of like, oh my God, I loved the Ayurveda part. It made so much sense to me. And it just really made like all the medical astrology stuff I know like really connect. And then at that same time, I decided to also enroll in Sage Popham's course, who does medical astrology as well. I had been introduced to him and I was like, hey, let me just go do this. I know medical astrology. I've been doing it for a while, but it doesn't hurt to see what else I can learn or add to my repertoire. So I went and I took his course, which is entitled Astro Herbalism, and it's all about
Hmm.
the medical astrology piece with the herbs. And he really touches on Ayurveda a lot in there and how all the herbs correspond to the Vedas and the doshas and the all the other stuff and how that corresponds to each planet. And then, Kabbalah's in there, as well as traditional Chinese medicine. And there's even some Arabic, old, ancient kind of like medicine stuff that they did. I don't know if they still do, honestly, but like there's a lot of Arabic pieces in there. So it was just like super cool. And it's made me love Ayurveda, but it's just not something that I think I'm destined to like do all of the time. So I'm super glad that I met you because now I know somebody else who does it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't know this, but Ayurveda is very much known to be the first health medical system science. Mm-hmm. You can label it what you want. It's what created, or it's what influenced and inspired Chinese medicine to come to fruition, and everything after that. Thai massage is, Ayurvedic marmotherapy. Chinese acupuncture is Ayurvedic acupuncture. There's so many foundational things about Ayurveda that a lot of people don't know about, and it makes me think, why is Ayurveda not considered in the same way as Chinese medicine is considered? And it's always made me ponder that. Now I know why, and it's because it is very, very individualized and personalized, and not that Chinese medicine or any other science or lineage is not, but it is very much not something that you can westernize or shift to be like, you can't generalize it. You cannot generalize the medicine. Of course there's going to be foundational things that us humans should follow, like we should drink water and we should eat whole food. There's this general things like that, but even that breaks down into on an individual basis. That breaks down into these little itty bitty things, from herbs to lifestyle to what you eat, how you eat it, and when, and the whole body system, spiritual, mental, emotional. Like, it's very, very complex, and maybe one day it will be considered just as Chinese medicine is in this Western system. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind if it wouldn't be, or wouldn't turn out that way, because it's kind of, safe and sacred. And I'm such an advocate for the Vedas and protecting them. And I'm a huge advocate for yoga specifically, because it's gotten too easy. It's become too watered down, and I'm not saying that accessibility is an issue and that things should be that shouldn't be accessible. It's more of, I don't believe that we should distance ourselves so much from tradition and the true essence of things like yoga and Ayurveda and Vedic astrology. I would love to highlight and bring these modalities back, like, and highlight their true form, and focus on why they are so beneficial and why they are so important, and not so much focus on the new wave of yoga that's happened in the last couple of years, and everybody became a teacher, and it's just like, what are we doing? Like, this isn't this isn't how it's supposed to be. So I definitely feel that Ayurveda is a crucial science to at least know on a surface level, if you don't want to, become someone like me, and go the professional route, but have some sort of understanding, whether it is herbalism, astrology, even the spirituality of it all. Like, there's something for everybody, and just knowing like what it is and how it's influenced all these other sciences is so important, and helps you kind of understand where everything came from. So and it's not only helped me, but it's an incredible foundation for mental and emotional health. And codependency, being one of my specialties, being the reason why I chose to do the 12-step recovery training, is because codependency is an addictive behavior. It is a mental health, in quotes, condition, but it is really, truly categorized as an addictive behavior. that can be healed through the 12 steps. And that training was so riveting to me because it combined the Vedic knowledge and wisdom with the 12-step recovery and that sort of intention. So yeah, from someone who's healed herself from codependency, it truly is remarkable and will just open up all these different doors and windows to, more awareness and ascension of consciousness.
Yes, I love that because I'm with you. I don't have like a regular yoga practice, and maybe I should. We can argue about that another day, but it's been a part of my life for a while now. And I've been really like, I don't know, I've gone down this rabbit hole and I'm really looking into like the yoga nidra. And
Oh, yeah.
I really like that form. I don't know if it's just something about it speaks to me more or whatever, but anyways, I've been really diving down that hole recently. And so I've been focusing on that. But the more I read about like that, the more like the yoga that everyone knows of that you can go to the studio and practice, I'm with you. I feel like it's been really like watered down. They've tried to westernize it. They've taken a lot of the spiritual and like healing parts out of it, and it's not the same. And I'm reading this book and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, and I'm with you. I don't appreciate that. I don't like that because it's kind of an individual practice as well. Like, yes, there's poses that everybody can do and stuff like that, but it's individualized as well when you do it for what you're looking for and all of that. And I just feel like we have tried to generalize it, like you said, just too much into this, and it isn't the same as it is when you read about it. And yeah, I'm with you. I feel the same way kind of too. The reason I liked medical astrology so much too is that it's not generalized. The thing that I hated about working in like the allopathic community and medical field was the fact that like literally everything is a one size fits all everything.
Right.
If Jess comes to me with anxiety, she's going to get a Xanax. If Joe Blow comes to me with anxiety, he's going to get a Xanax. Like, there's no taking into account, like, your individual constitution, your health issues, anything that might actually be going on. There's no root cause analysis or evaluation. It's just Xanax for everybody or whatever, lorazepam. It could be anything. But the fact is, it's literally a one size fits all. You go to see the doctor for insert whatever symptom you're having, and they're going to give you the same thing that they would give the next person that comes in to see them. And then, of course, if you happen to be a person who's like, well, this isn't working for me, they're like, well, it should work. All the study says that it works. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, but like it's not working for me. And then they don't have any other where to go. It's like, oh, well, I guess we'll just try this other generalized medication that we're giving to everybody else that this one doesn't work on. And then if that one doesn't work on you, then they're basically like, well, sucks to be you. We're out of options because you didn't fit our generalized way of doing things. And it drove me crazy because I always felt like I wasn't actually helping people. I'm doing more harm than good because I'm not giving their bodies what that specific body needs. We're giving them what we'd give to literally anybody who walked in off the street complaining of anxiety, since we're on that topic. And with medical astrology, yeah, it's so different. With Ayurveda, it's the same thing. You walk in, there's a whole consultation process of looking at your tongue, taking your pulse and looking at you, actually talking to you, having a whole conversation with you, evaluating your constitution and, your doshas and all of that. And like, there's a process that each person goes through that you could say is generalized, right? Because you do the same thing for each person, but you come to a different conclusion with each person. And same with medical astrology. What I find in Jess's chart is never going to be the same as what I might find in somebody else's, even if you were born at the exact same time in the exact same place as somebody else, because every body is different. And that's what really drew me to medical astrology, and in turn, dabbling in Ayurveda. I wouldn't say I am, a pro at that by any means, but it definitely has a place in my heart.
I have I'll recommend some Ayurvedic herbal books, I would say, herbalism books. I think you would really enjoy.
I love books.
But oh yeah, me too. But what you were saying about, yes, every body is different and every soul is different. And that's why I love Ayurveda, especially in this mental health realm that I'm in, because there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all protocol or yoga sequence or anything, even with the yoga asana specifically, or any of the other limbs of yoga, like pranayama and dhyana, all these beautiful things. Ayurvedic yoga is one of those things that a lot of people still don't know about, where you take, let's say you come to me and you've been practicing Iyengar for many, many years. I would be able to create and support your yoga asana practice under the lineage of Iyengar and create an Ayurvedic individualized, personalized sequence or a set of postures or tips and just overall guidelines for you to help you become more comfortable in your body with that type of lineage, but still making sure that you're taking care of your constitution. Because just because, Ashtanga, Bhakti, Yin, Vini, there's so many different yoga lineages, but that doesn't mean that everybody's constitution will be able to handle the expectations and standards for each lineage. And yes, I'm all for accessible yoga practices like yin and restorative and therapeutic and all these wonderful things. But Ashtanga, for example, is very demanding on every aspect of your being. And not every constitution will be able to do an Ashtanga practice in the most optimal way. So yeah, it takes things like that even and personalizes things for you. For example, I don't believe that every person should drink an ungodly amount of water each day. It just doesn't make sense. And the supplement industry alone, like a lot of people don't realize that supplements are not calculated for me, who is a petite young woman. It is calculated for that of an average human, whether male or female. And it also doesn't calculate it for pediatric care. And there's so many things around supplements and allopathic medicine, and we could do that for a year if we wanted to. But but it's Ayurveda has something very different to the table, or has brought something so much more meaningful to the table. And I would love to see it more accepted and sought out, and to have people's curiosities be sparked by it, because it really is teaching you how to take care of you. It's not teaching you how to take care of other people. It's you legitimately find out about you, just like your reports and the session you did for me. Like, I'm still integrating all of that very specific information because it is not general. It in no way was your reading in session general and could apply to any other person. It applies to me according to my chart and all these different things. And that's what Ayurveda is too. So, and also part of my practice too, like, it's about self-healing, self-care, taking accountability and responsibility for you and your health and your decisions around that. And Ayurveda does not work if you are not willing to do the work on yourself to heal and get better. It is not allopathic. And that's one of the hurdles of today's society, is that people are so dependent on allopathic medicine, processes, even an office experience, that they don't have the tools and skills and ability to walk along their healing path with Ayurveda by their side. because you have to integrate it, and then you have to integrate it so much so that you become it and you become your own health and healing. It's not delegating you or I full responsibility for their healing and health.
Exactly.
It's very much putting it back into your hands as the client or the patient.
Where it should be. It should have never.
Do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And where it should have never left. We are taught from the time we are babies, literally infants, to give all of our control, our power, whatever you want to say, our responsibility of our health, our well-being, our constitution, keeping our body regulated, all that stuff, to somebody else. And in this case, typically a doctor, a allopathic medical doctor, and that they are the only ones who could possibly understand what symptoms we are having and why, and have the answer for it. And I'm with you. I don't believe that. I never have. It was part of the reason why nursing was so hard for me, because there'd be so many people that you would see again and again and again and again. Same things every time. And they would literally tell you every time, you're not making me better. And I would tell them, it's not my job to make you better. It's your job to make you better. It's your job to go home and follow these things. It's your job to go home and change your lifestyle, like we've talked about 910 times, that you're refusing to do. I said, until you accept responsibility for your health and your healing and doing this, nothing's going to change. You're going to keep coming back to see us. So it's not our responsibility. It's yours. But everybody has been so conditioned to believe that you can't possibly heal yourself. You need medications, you need a doctor, you need a whatever, right? Outside of yourself. And it's not true. Everything you need to heal, you already have inside of you. You just maybe need a tool, in this case, medical astrology or Ayurveda, to help you understand how to access those tools, those skills, and heal your body.
Right. I work with an Ayurvedic doctor, a physician. And I have not only been working for him, but I'm also his apprentice, and I became his patient recently. And I have some things going on with my own health, and not only just because it's important for me to experience his care and get to know how he does things, but Ayurvedic medicine in the hands of a actual licensed physician in this society is 10 times different from that of an allopathic or naturopathic functional medicine physician or doctor. It's not the same. Just because doctor is, after this doctor's credentials, it doesn't mean that he falls into that category. And I was mind blown at how not only simple, but how accurate he was just from the first session. And the treatment isn't complicated, but the treatment does take time. He was very clear with me. He said, it's going to take a couple months, but I know that you're going to be able to do it because I know you and your behavior, and you are committed and you're going to do the work. If you're not going to do the work, none of this is going to work. I said, I completely agree with you.
Yes.
So it's a very, very different approach. And I've taken the mental health, psychological, behavioral route, and he's taken all of the routes. He's taken the Sanskrit route. He's taken the full-blown journey of Ayurvedic medicine as a physician. And it's such a shame how we are conditioned so much so that we don't know how to help ourselves. We don't know how to be our roots. We don't know how to be our hand. We don't know how to be our support system. We are just constantly relying on our progress to be accomplished by that of external force.
And when you are constantly relying on that external force, you lose your connection to yourself, your soul, your internal guidance system, your intuition. Especially us as women, we have very good intuition. We have that gut that just tells us something is off or whatever, right? And anybody who listens to that intuition will tell you it is right. 99.9% of the time when you feel that. But we become disconnected from that, and listening to our bodies and really understanding them and having that communion with them that we're supposed to have between our soul and our spirit and our body and our mind, because we keep going to someone else outside of us to tell us what we need. What should I do now? What medication do I need now? And the other thing too, I think, is we get addicted to feeling better quicker. You said something that struck me where you said it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take several months for you to feel better. And that's the thing that I find with so many of the people that come to me, is they want me to give them a Band-Aid solution that they can do, and they're going to feel better tomorrow. And that's just not how true healing works. Even if I give you the most powerful herb on this fucking planet that we know about, that we've been able to find, and whatever,
Right.
it's not going to make anything happen quickly, because that's not how they're designed to work, right? Either. You're right, it takes discipline in some ways, it takes commitment, it takes a resolve that you are going to do this, and it takes reconnecting to yourself and your intuition and that internal guidance system that we all have. And sometimes I have noticed this, I don't know, maybe you had a similar experience. It happened with me too. It happens with so many of my clients, that when you start healing in this way, where you're taking responsibility, that radical responsibility, and you're using the herbs and the diet changes and the lifestyle changes and all the whatever that has been recommended by whatever modality you've gone with that resonates, right? That things seem to get worse for a little bit before they get better. And you're like, I'm on the wrong path, and people give up because they're like, oh, it's not working, things have gotten worse. And I explain to every single person that I work with that things are more than likely going to get worse before they get better, and this is a good sign. It's your body purging, it's getting rid of all that stuff, it's finally able to do that. And you have to keep walking the path, even though it feels like you're on fire right now at this moment. I had a client who literally called me on the phone. It was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm following your plan exactly, but I am having a ton of pain. I have been crying all day. I can't get out of bed. All I want to do is lay here. Everything hurts. I'm going to the bathroom every 5 minutes. I've vomited a few times. Like, I feel miserable. You got to help me. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't actually help you. I said, this is what your body needs to do. You're purging all this stuff that you've been holding on to. I said, get your spouse to take care of your kids. Tell him, hey, I'm sorry, I'm off duty for probably the weekend. Let him do what he needs to do. And you lay in that bed and you let your body do what it needs to do. You meditate through it if you need to. Do your yoga moves that you know help you. Do all that stuff. Drink your water. Make sure you're not dehydrating, because you are having, some fluid imbalances going on here. It's like, but you have to sit through this and work through it. And she's like, okay, I trust you. And I said, okay, that's all I'm saying to do. She called me back 2 days later and she goes, girl, I feel like a different human being. She's like, I wouldn't even recognize myself. My husband told me I am glowing this morning. She's like, and all of the reasons I came to see you are gone. I have none of those symptoms anymore. And I said, exactly. I said, you had to go through the fire, get purged of everything, and come out on the other side. And that's the part where I see so many people give up, which is why it's important to have people like you and I that they can come to. We can hold their hand through that if they need it, or guide them. And this is why I am such an advocate for having somebody like that, right, who can be that guide to just explain to you, this is normal. I'm sorry you're going through this, because yes, it sucks, but it's normal. And you can do this to get through that, and empower them to continue on instead of taking that power away from them.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. It's so beautiful, and it's so true. In the realm of trauma and triggers and things like that, I've run into that time and time again, where people will not continue, or they will become too stubborn or closed off or afraid because they are triggered by the things that are coming to the surface, or the questions that are asked, or the thoughts that are coming through. And that's when you know that the real work is just at the precipice. Like
right
this
there.
is,
Yes.
it's like gold. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is what you want. You want to be triggered.
Yeah.
You want to be challenged, because that is the only way, or one of the strong ways for you to come into realization or awareness of the specific work that you have to do. And triggers are not bad. And I'm not saying, we should be triggering everybody at every moment.
Yeah.
But that's out of anybody else's control. I cannot control whether or not someone is triggered by my words or actions. It is a complete reflection of that person's relationship with their self and their current state of being.
Yeah.
And it is so phenomenal once I witness clients going over that hurdle of trigger and grief and, all those things, that anger, frustration, doubt, regret, all these really, really heavy feelings. But it's just like those physical health responses. It's just like a purge. It's just like being sick.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to allow yourself to go through the motions, whether it's a physical experience or out of dimensional world experience. There has to be that. You don't just wake up or decide the next minute that you're going to be better. If that was the world we were living in, we would have no problems.
Right.
So it's like you have to allow your body to be uncomfortable. And I think we've gotten so sensitive about being uncomfortable and about being triggered or about being challenged in some way that hits the ego or hits the trauma response or PTSD, or causes you to think about a person or an event that happened that didn't like. It's just all those things.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with you. It's so important for the healing process. And with this kind of work, especially the fields that we're in, there is no quick solution. There is no band-aid. There's nothing we can say or offer that is even remotely like that. And that's why I want more of this approach integrated into the current system. And hopefully one day that the medical system will be open to more alternative, holistic ways of healing. And holistic meaning, we're going to trigger some people. But guess what? It's the way in which they may need to be led on a path of healing.
Yeah.
And I don't really believe also in creating a dependence and attachment between my clients. I don't want my clients to be leached onto me and to, put all of the responsibility on me and expect me to be there for every question, comment, or concern. It's about learning how to heal yourself. And I think that a lot of people are seeking that, but at the same time, the other side of the spectrum is that a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. Yeah. Because it's not the norm. The norm is to walk in to whatever specialist office, tell them what it is, get diagnosed with something. I'm also not a fan of quick diagnoses. It's just not, it's not helpful in any way, shape, or form. I was misdiagnosed with PCOS based on one marker in blood work results. And I just did not fit the bill. It didn't make any sense. Right. And it didn't make any sense for multiple reasons. But one is because I'm vegan, I'm extremely healthy, and it wasn't even something that was considered with the treatment that I was going through and the help that I was seeking at the time. So I really am not a fan of wanting a diagnosis. Yeah, same. If you want a diagnosis, go the allopathic route. Yeah. If you want to heal yourself and not WebMD yourself all day and think that you have all these different things going on and you're going to die. Yeah. The more holistic integrative is really the path, but you have to know that the self-work involved is very much like a lifelong commitment. You have to commit to yourself.
Yes. Preach, girl. I am with you on all of that. That is so exactly how I feel. I don't agree with this, like, you need a diagnosis for everything. Like, I find for many people, many people, that once they get a diagnosis of whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, it truly doesn't, that they now get stuck in, oh, well, I can't do this because I have insert diagnosis here. I'm not able to do this now because I have insert diagnosis here. And they start revolving their whole life around what they can and cannot do based on some random
Identity.
diagnosis they got. And it becomes their whole identity of, I have insert X here. And when you do that, it can be dangerous for many people because your thoughts and your beliefs create your reality. So the more you sit there and tell yourself, I can't do this because I have X, the more that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And pretty soon you can't do X at all. Like, you literally can't make yourself do whatever. And you start creating this whole, like, reality around you that literally has you sick and dependent on somebody outside of yourself. And that whole cycle, it's you're in that cycle that the allopathic community wants you to be in, because they want people to be in that cycle. I and you, it sounds like as well, are trying to work ourselves out of a job. I am literally trying to give you every single tool that I possibly can so that you don't have to ever come back and see me. Do I want you to come back and see me? Sure.
That's what makes it different.
Yeah, I would love to see you, but I want to see you because this time you're coming to be like, thank you for giving me these tools. Here's where I am now. Or, hey, I just wanted to catch up and chat with you because it's been, 7 years since I've had to work with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally trying to make sure that I don't ever have to do anything with anybody again because they've gotten all the tools and everything they need to know what to do to keep going. I'm with you. I don't want them to be dependent on me. That's why I don't call myself anything but, like, I'm a guide, I'm a teacher, I'm a, because I don't want them to feel like I'm the only one that has all the answers for them. Because I don't. I don't have all the answers for me, people. Trust me, I certainly don't have all the answers for you. And yeah, no, it's such a thing. And people think I'm crazy. Like, someone actually asked me, what's your 5-year plan? And I said to not be working anymore because I've helped so many people that I have no one else to help. And they thought I was crazy. You don't want to make millions of dollars? Like, your goal isn't. I was like, well, if I make millions of dollars along the way, great. But my goal is literally to work myself out of a job, and everything else that comes with that will be there or it won't. I'm not concerned about that. I literally am trying to make sure that, like, anybody who comes and works with me never has to come back and see me after our initial 3 to 6 months of working together, or a year, or whatever, however long it takes to get them feeling confident and empowered to continue on their own.
Right. We have that in common, and it's such a strong, it's rooted us in our service. And I believe that a lot of people don't practice this way, whether or not they're in our fields, our corresponding fields, or any related field. And especially with the work that I do with the mental, behavioral, psychological, you can't create an attachment with your clients. You have to empower them to the point where they don't ever want to need to see you again. They don't want to be at a place where they need your support in those specific ways.
Yeah.
And codependency is a spectrum as well. Dependency is a spectrum. So coming from someone who was codependent from a young age, and then healing herself, and then going the complete opposite direction of over independence.
Yes.
And then coming back in the middle of just that, interdependence.
Yes.
And
the ziggy-zaggy journey of healing.
Truly bouncing around. But even with that, you can't. What would have never worked for me is having a therapist that I knew that I was going to see at the same time every week for years on end. It just wasn't going to help.
No.
Because there were so many different things going on, and there's so many different layers of the self too.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of my journey was that of being very spiritual and being very dedicated to my practices regarding the Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, speaking to what you were saying, just a little bit more, it is just so crucial that the relationship with the self is very much nourished at any point in life. When the relationship with the self is nourished and foundational and grounded, you're able to make better decisions and be more aware of, you and the people in your life and your surroundings. And you are, in quotes, healthier at that moment where you realize, oh, I'm pretty solid. I know what I need. I know what the plan is.
Yep.
I know who I am. I know who I want to be.
Yeah.
That alone is health. And I think a lot of people haven't fully accepted those little or minor things as being healthy.
Yeah.
If you don't have the mindset, if you don't have the emotional stability, if you don't have some sort of spiritual practice or connection, whether it's with a deity or not, or a lineage, or, just looking up at the sun and saying, thank you, sun, for giving me life. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Your body, your physical body, will not be able to heal itself.
Yep.
Because you are not with it. You are not creating the container it needs to be in order to heal.
Yeah. There was a study a number of years ago now, I couldn't tell you the exact amount, but they studied the difference between people and like their definitions of health. So like they studied the people who literally their like mindset, belief system, whatever it was, no matter how like bad they might actually physically feel, was always, oh, well, I'm healthy and I can get through this. My body can get through this. My body's capable of healing itself. I'm, whatever. They had a more positive outlook on all of that. And healthy to them was just more of a mindset and a way of being than it was like how they physically felt, compared to the people who were the opposite, where when they physically felt ill, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sick. I'm never going to get better. I just don't feel good. And they studied these people when they did get sick and then how long the duration lasted based on like these two like kind of belief systems. And the people who had the mindset of, well, I'm healthy, my body is healthy, I'm healthy, I can get through anything, their illness duration was like 24, maybe 48 hours. The other people's illness duration was upwards of 2 weeks minimum. And then they still, even after they recovered from whatever that main illness was, never felt that they were fully like well again. So they were still kind of feeling sick, but not like I'm on death's door sick or really ill. And it was like such a fascinating study to read that literally they didn't do anything different. Everybody basically did the same thing outside of that belief system when they were sick. And the people who felt that, hey, I'm healthy overall, actually got better faster than those who didn't. And so I've always believed that, healthy is also like more of a mindset than it is necessarily how I feel. My body may not feel okay in this moment, but I know that I'm healthy, so I can get through whatever is going on that's causing my physical body to not feel so well right now.
Right.
And I
think a lot about seniors where like let's say they're of old age to, they're coming at the end of their life, from 90s to, early hundreds. Just because they don't have a lot of mobility, or they're in a state in their life where they need a walker or need someone to help them, it actually doesn't mean that they're unhealthy. They're just of older age.
Yeah.
They have aged to the point where their physical body is healthy. It's just doesn't have the same mobility markers as that of a 20-year-old.
Right.
It's such a 99-year-old man can be healthier than a 20-year-old man by far, depending on, of course, the different factors and things. Yeah. But that is incredibly wholeheartedly possible. And it's one of the things I like to remind people of. It's like, you want to be healthy at age 99, or then you have to have more positive self-talk. You have to love yourself. You have to experience states of happiness and joy, not one or the other. You have to laugh. You have to help others and be of service to others. There's so many other things instead of, you need to take this prescription for the rest of your life.
In the nursing field, which I was in forever, there was quite a few of us that had been nurses for quite a while. And so we'd, seen a number of things, and we were old and grizzled and mean. No, we were definitely old and grizzled, but most of us weren't mean. But we had a saying amongst us, like older nurses, when somebody would come in who was 75 plus years of age, where we could predict down to almost the day how long they would be with us in the hospital based on the amount of medications that they were taking. If they were taking 3 or less, and those 3 consisted of one was a baby aspirin and one was a multivitamin, they would be with us a day, maybe 2, before they would get discharged. If they came in with a list the length of my arm of medications that they were on, and a walker and an overbearing family member and all this other stuff, then we automatically knew 2 weeks minimum they're going to be with us. And while it sounds like it was only based on the medications, what we found was, while we could predict it just by not having seen the patient yet and just looking at the list, when the patients did end up arriving on our floor, we were putting them into the room and getting them settled, you could see a marked difference between the one who was on 3 or less medications and one that was on a page worth of medications. Their vitality was completely different. And as soon as you saw them, even if you hadn't looked at their medication list, you could immediately go, oh, that one is going to go home in a couple of days, whereas this person over here, unfortunately, is going to be with us for a while. It was such a marked difference in how long they would be with us based on how just like vital their body was, even though they were older, right? The ones who were young at heart, let's put it that way, where age to them was literally just a number, and they knew that, they didn't care that they were 75. They're like, oh, I feel like I'm 50. And every day they were doing, those are the ones who were always able to get better quicker. I mean, I literally have seen people pass away, like literally leave this physical plane because they would have a fall and get injured, which happens sometimes as we advance in age, right? They'd have a hip broken or something happen where they'd have to be in the hospital for a little bit and have surgery potentially. And the ones who were like, it's just a small setback, I'll be fine, and were willing to get up out of bed and stuff, they were fine. I literally had a patient pass away on me because she was like, oh, I'm never going to get over this hip being broken. And she didn't. She literally created her own reality, and that was that. And I see that with so many of my clients too, the ones who come and are like, I know I can do this, I just don't know how to do it. I just need you to give me the how, and I can then do it. Do so much better than the ones who come and are like, well, I don't know why I should do this or if I should do this, or, they're hemming and hawing and they're not as confident in themselves, and their ability to do that. Right. Sometimes that changes while we work together, right? Because they start realizing that they can do this and it's different. And some don't ever make it to that point, unfortunately. And then we part ways because I'm not the person for them at that point. I'm at a different stage than they are. And when they get to that stage, they're more than welcome to come back and we will work together then. But I usually at that point will refer them to someone who is more in their realm of where they are currently, right? We have to meet our clients where they are. And if I can't do that, then I will refer them to somebody who can. And so, yeah, that's just, when we're talking about that, it just reminded me of that. I've seen so much of that in my nursing career. And it's kind of given me the belief, too, that I'm like, I don't want to be the older person who just is in bed all the time and thinks that I'm going to die at 90 or less. So I do. So I've been, I'm like, I'm out for my walks every day. I'm going to go get my sunshine. I'm going to eat my good food because I don't want to be in that mindset ever that I can't because I'm older, I'm now stuck doing what people say older people should be doing.
Right. Changing our perspective on aging and becoming that of a senior citizen is what the term is, I think really does need to change.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I would say I'm an old soul, very much an old soul. I've been here too many times. This may be the last reincarnation. Let's see what I choose. But I see in like the younger generations how they just are so unwilling and afraid to age
Mm-hmm.
in any way, whether it's the way that their face looks or their ability to reach athletic goals or to be able to be perceived in a certain way. There's so many different things
Mm-hmm.
revolving that, but I just think it's so beautiful and something to look forward to.
Yes.
And not to dwell and be like, I really want to be an old person and I want my life to be at its end. It's more of like, no, let's accept it with grace,
Mm-hmm.
and let's remember that we're currently aging.
Yes.
We've aged from adolescence to adult. Like, that's a huge transition. And that is just as important as that of adult to senior. It's just a different stage of life.
It is.
And I'm going to be one of those people that, like, I have very, very long hair, but I'm going to have very long gray, white hair. Like, that's going to be me. I'm not going to dye. I've never dyed my hair, and I'm not going to dye it. And I'm going to allow my body to express what it needs to express. And I really do think that would absolutely make a difference in some people's health if they weren't so afraid and not looking forward to being older.
Yeah. If I dye my hair when I get older, it's just going to be purple because it's my favorite color. It has nothing to do with like,
I love it.
Because I'm covering up the grays or anything. It's just because, you know what? I'm of an age where I just don't care anymore if you don't like my purple hair. You can just leave me alone.
I know.
But yeah, I'm with you. Otherwise, probably not, because it's just something else to keep up on, and I'm just not that kind of person. I am very, as this people say, very low maintenance if we're going in that, direction. But it's not that I don't take care of myself. I just don't see any need to go get, my nails and my hair done all the time. Like, and if you do, that's fine. Like, that's,
Right.
Some people's thing. It's just not mine. It never has been. So I don't see that changing as I get older. It might. You never know. Never say never, right?
And never. And you have a different, I'm sure that you have a different relationship with yourself when you are 74.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to
I would certainly hope so.
There's a lineage. Oh, yes. Yeah,
Please.
absolutely. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's just so interesting how there's so many different layers of the mindset of health alone, that these things are just so simple, but we forget them because we're distracted by the societal norms and the programming and conditioning since we were kids. Not to place blame on anybody, but that's just how it's been. Once you break out, once you relieve the veil from its hindrance on your awareness, once you completely step into that doorway, into realization, you can't reverse it. You can't just be like, oh, I can't continue. Because once you have the awareness, you can't just get rid of it. So you are practically, going to be forced onto a path of awareness and realization of not only yourself and your being, but your health in every aspect imaginable.
Yep.
Can't go backwards.
No. Sometimes I think, like, I wish that I could go back to being my blissfully ignorant self about some things, right? But then at the same time, I'm like, would I really want that or enjoy that? Because I have changed so much in just like the, last 12 years since finding like this path in healing my body and doing my own thing, right? That I don't know if I'd want to go back to that person that I was prior to like that awakening that I had,
I'm in the same boat. I really value being as aware as I am. And I really value sharing that awareness and knowledge and educating people. We both have that in common too, where we love to educate people,
Oh, yes.
especially about what's going on with them, but also, you know, our fields and things that complement it. Yeah, I still speak to past Jess, you know, past versions of myself, because you definitely have to do that inner work and that whole inner child healing.
And the whole shadow side of all of those things that still exist within you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the ego, all that, all of it. And like there are so many wonderful things that I would, you know, if I had a choice, I'd like, maybe could I just like see that moment in time for a second and then I can come back. But I don't think I can sit here and say, I want to start over or I want to try again or I want to be ignorant of this or that, because everything that I've become aware of thus far has been very helpful. Whether or not it's been detrimental and it's caused me to purge or have some sort of meltdown or or it's been happy-go-lucky, it's a soft pillow to fall on.
Yes, I know. I feel that way too. So we need to wrap up in a minute because it's already been an hour and I can't believe that. But I just wanted to touch on one other thing very briefly that you mentioned. Jess mentioned that I did a reading for her, and I did because she's not experienced medical astrology, and we've been talking about, you know, collabing some. And obviously, if we're going to do that, it helps to understand what each one of us does. So we can explain it better to, you know, potential people we would be sending each other's ways. So I did a little mini like sun sign reading where I just detailed sun, moon, and rising, which she got. And I know you touched on it briefly, but is there anything else that you would just like to quickly mention about that reading in general for you?
Yeah, so the recommendations were fantastic, and some of them I had already implemented before, like in regards to herbs and supplements and things. Because currently I take a supplement break like once every 3 months. So I'll do 3 months on, 1 month off of supplements, and then I'll see how I feel. But there were similarities with that, as well as things that I thought of doing but have never done, which was really, really interesting. I was like, oh, all right. Little validation for me too, but that's great. And then there's also some new things because it's not a completely different perspective, but it's a modality that I've never experienced before. And there were some things regarding the specific herbs and the things about me, and I'll just use constitution because that's my term, but the things that you've touched on about my constitution in your way of doing it, your modality, your perspective, which is like very complimentary. Be like, yeah, that is true. That is how my body functions. Yeah. That is, you know, my Scorpio side. It's like, yep, I get it. Totally agree.
Yep. So,
nothing that I was fighting you on at all. I was very much like, this is wonderful. But again, the information is so powerful and impactful that for me, it takes a bit to integrate and make sense of it. And especially like, I'm one of those people that will like watch or listen to something a couple times to make sure I got it all down. And then proceed and make all the things.
That's that earth sign in together. You, girl. So I think Jess and I also get along super well because I'm a Scorpio sun and moon, you all know, and she's a Taurus sun and moon, which if you've been paying attention to any of my podcast episodes, you know, are opposite polar signs. So typically they tend to get along very well usually, especially because she is a daytime Taurus, right? And I am a nighttime Scorpio, which means that my Scorpio sometimes presents more as a Taurus in many regards, as far as like my health concerns go and in like my personality even. So I tend to come across much more like grounded and emotionally stable compared to some Scorpios that people know of. And so yeah, we tend to get along really well. So that was fun to find out. I was like, oh, that's another reason why we just immediately hit it off, is we have all of that like energy that's just very well mixed and mingled together. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I know we haven't really had a chance to talk about it. That's the only reason I wanted to bring it up.
Oh yeah. Oh
Because
my gosh.
it's so important to me when I do those readings because they are so personalized for each person, and they take a lot of my personal energy that I put into those for each person. And it's very important to me that they actually do resonate and they hit what they're supposed to hit, and you feel like, when you hear that, oh, this makes sense. So I just am glad that you felt that same way. And yeah, I look forward. We're going to have to get back together and talk about it more once you've done your
Oh,
own way of doing
absolutely.
things. This is why I send them as videos too, because yours was like one of the shortest ones that I have done. It was like, what, 30-ish minutes, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and typically, if
Wow.
you get like a full reading, they're an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours long, right? Because like I find so much when I'm doing
Wow.
like a whole reading, which is why I send them as videos, because then you have a chance to rewind if you need to, pause,
Right.
take notes, listen to it over a course of a
Mm-hmm.
couple of days, listen to it all, and then go back and listen to it again while taking notes that time, whatever is like your process, right? And then we can meet back
Right.
together when you are ready, and then we go over like the integration step together. So typically they fall about a week apart for most people. Like I'll send like their video on like say like a Monday, and then like the following Monday, Tuesday, they're like, okay, yeah, like I feel ready to like meet up with you and like talk about all the stuff that you
Right.
recommended. Yeah, I appreciate you, Jess, and I appreciate you coming on to this podcast and talking to me today. These are one of my favorite episodes that I do because everyone like this is so different. Like none of them are the same, and it just makes my Scorpio Mercury like super happy because I like to just deep dive into like the most random shit, and you can't always find people out who like to do that with you. So I'm glad that you are one of those. But that also makes sense because if I recall correctly, your Mercury's like in Gemini or something. So you also like to talk on random topics and get all the knowledge.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm grateful for you too. I appreciate you too, and for having this medium. And I've listened, as you know, to many episodes now,
Yes.
and I absolutely adore it. And I'm very excited to continue listening and to share you with the world. And I'm happy to come back if there are specific things you want to talk about. I'd love to do
Yeah,
that
we
too.
may end up having to do that because, well, as you know, we like to talk. So we will be happy.
All
Yeah,
the
we will be
time.
happy to do that. Before we head out, can you just let everybody know where to find you if they are interested in reaching out to you about your counseling services or working with you in whatever capacity you have available?
Yeah. Yeah, my website is themeraki.method.net. The Meraki, Meraki, method, method.net, not .com, .net. That is my brand, and that is also my counseling method. I am not on social media. Haven't been on since mid
That is probably a
2020,
good
and
thing,
it's going
girl.
to stay that way. Yeah, yes. I am not active on LinkedIn. I am on there for my professional business counseling clients when I need to get on there and help them out, but I am not active. But I am very much active on my website. I write all the time. I have great resources. I can be contacted through there. And I also have a Pinterest page too, if you ever want to see what I'm doing on there. But yeah, that's me, themerikimethod.net.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Love and light. Hi, everyone. Jess Marie and I are here because we want to announce something amazing that's coming up, and we wanted to get you all excited and ready to come and join us. So, thank you, Jess, for joining me.
Absolutely.
Yes, so Jess and I, you'll hear her podcast episode coming out soon, but we have really hit it off. She does Ayurveda and mental health counseling with that approach, and it's awesome and amazing. And combining that with medical astrology and what I do has been awesome. So we decided that we want to get together and offer you a groundbreaking live event that you can come and join both of us and learn all about solutions to mental health using the lens of Ayurveda and medical astrology.
It's going to be absolutely wonderful because there are so many things that mesh together and overlap with our two approaches, especially with the astrology and the herbalism. And I think this is just a great way to not only learn about our two separate approaches, but how they can work together and complement each other, as well as learn about new modalities and things that are not necessarily talked about as much as other modalities. And I'm certain that in finding you and in finding me, people that are new to both of our practices are like, whoa, what is this? Vedic counseling and Ayurveda specifically are on the rise, but they're still not yet as known as I'd like them to be. And then when I discovered you and we connected for the first time, astroherbalism, astronutrition, medical astrology, I had to know what it was all about. So I'm hoping that everybody who participates has that same intention and is just as excited as we are.
Yes, mental health issues are like all the rage right now. You hear it talked about constantly, which is great, and I'm glad that it's being destigmatized in a lot of ways because they're real, they exist, and you shouldn't have to hide or be ashamed that you are struggling with anxiety, depression, bipolar, suicidal ideations, whatever it's presenting as for you. And while a lot of the approaches that we've been seeing talked about are definitely helpful for many people, too many of them are like a one size fits all approach, and that doesn't work for everybody. We're not one size fits all human beings, and so why should a one size fit all approach work for everybody? And it doesn't. And so people feel even more stigmatized and more left out and more alone because they're doing all the things that they're being told to do and none of it is helping still. And so then they feel like there's something wrong with them. They start internalizing that and there's no need to. So our approaches, both of them, very personalized, very much this is for you specifically. And what I'm recommending for one person, I would probably never recommend for the other person, even if they're having the exact same symptoms or presentation, because every body is different. And so I love this approach between Jess and I because she has one way of looking at it and I have a slightly different way of looking at it. And while there is some overlap, like she was mentioning, it definitely both are a person-centered, whole being, holistic approach where we are looking at the whole person and not just their symptoms, and we're helping them manage these appropriately for them. And so I really am glad that we're bringing this up. This is going to be a huge, huge event because we are super excited to be able to let you know that there is more than just this one size fits all, take these pills and if they don't work, tough luck approach out there that can really help turn the tides on a lot of those mental health issues that you are struggling with.
I completely agree with everything that you just said. And the individualized approach and our specific approaches and how we offer that is incredibly distinct. What we do is very rare and very unique. And that's something that I think a lot of people will be excited to learn more about because this is kind of like a taboo sort of thing that we're doing, but very much looking forward to diving deeper into the mental health aspect of our approaches and how we complement each other. And we want to help more people. So whoever's listening, please join us. We really do want to bring new information and knowledge and wisdom to the surface. So I think this is a great way to do it.
Yes, definitely. So please come join us August 13th at 4 p.m. Mountain Time to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So only 2 hours out of your day. It's easy peasy to attend. Pricing will be up soon and a link for you to come and join us. But in the meantime, put it on your calendar and be prepared to come and join us for this. We are going to be talking about astronutrition, astroherbalism, the Vedic approach to nutrition, and all those different pieces that come in from that. We're going to be talking about what the different influences are, how different bodies, show up with different things, and how we can use all of that information to come up with a personalized plan for you. There's going to be actionable steps. There is going to be some freebies that you are going to love. 20-minute health resets with me and a 30-minute mini little consultation with Jess, where we will both dive as deep as we can in those time frames to help you understand what's really going on with your body and how you can start helping your body today. So awesome stuff is coming. Please mark the calendar. The link will be dropping soon to sign up for this event. It is a paid event, and pricing will be available on the link that will be dropping soon. So come join us August 13th, 4 p.m. Mountain to 6 p.m. Mountain. That is 3 p.m. Pacific, it is 5 p.m. Central, and it is 6 p.m. Eastern that this starts. So we would love to see you guys there, and sign up soon. We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed making it. You can find all relevant links to today's show in the show notes below. If you loved the show today, please subscribe, follow, and leave me a review. I love to hear your thoughts, and it helps me know what is a hit and to make more of that content, especially for you. If you want to learn more about me and how I can help you, head over to atlaastrology.com. There you can sign up for a medical astrology package, download my free sun sign in your health ebook, read the blog, and so much more. If you want to connect more outside the podcast, follow my Instagram channel @AtlaAstrology, or join my Astro Connection community, the link to which you can find in the show notes. Until next time, love and light.